By instinct, he entered the water to pick up the scorpion and to save it. The scorpion stung him. Swamiji moved his hand and it fell back into the water. He tried once again, and once again the scorpion stung him and it again fell down. So he took a twig and put the scorpion on the side. So one of his disciples asked him, "Well, the scorpion stung you twice. Why did you still take it out? Why did you save his life?" So I want to recollect what he said. He said, that is the nature of the scorpion. It will sting. It is my nature to help it. And should I give up my nature just because the scorpion stings? I will not. So ladies and gentlemen, shall we give up compassion because another one is cruel? Shall we give up love and affection because another one spurns us? Shall we give up humility because another one is arrogant? Shall we give up tolerance because another one is intolerance? And the answer is plain and simple, no. And while I say this, I'm aware that in today's times, if you are inclusive, if you are tolerant, if you are compassionate, you will be hounded, you will be persecuted, and you will be trolled by those who stridently oppose your compassion and tolerance. But does it mean that the fringe has become the mainstream? Does it mean that if you disagree with the ruling establishment, if I disagree with Suhel, then I am the enemy? Does it mean dissent is anti-national? Does it mean that I need to carry a certificate of patriotism everywhere I go? The answer is again plain and simple, no. While I say this, I'm painfully aware that the fault lines of identity, of religion, of caste, of region, they have become very, very sharp. They have become disdainfully prominent in India. Last 22 months of this government, they have witnessed brutal divisions, ugly hatred, and bloodthirsty violence. On account of this repeated mindless and often heartless attack on 5,000 years of composite culture and compassion, it often appears that this is the mainstream discourse. But is it? Because its intensity and its noise is so strong and so loud that all sanity appears to have been lost in the din. So naturally, it looks as if intolerance is the new tolerance. What has happened needs to be examined and has to be understood by the events that have transpired, some of which Suhel referred to, some of which Justice Ganguly referred to, and let me recollect a few. 22 months ago, this government had not even completed the honeymoon when one of the Union Minister, General V.K. Singh, called the army chief a dacoit. Never before in the history of this country had this happened. And let me recollect something else. Successive, and Kajol mentioned some of them, and Suhel mentioned some of them, and let me borrow from them. Successive misogynist and regressive comments have been made repeatedly for India's women that reflect a particular mindset. The then defense minister, and I will never call any minister or anybody senior stupid, but the then defense minister and current finance minister, Mr. Jaitley, called the Nirbhaya incident as one small incident of rape. Not to be outdone, Haryana BJP CM Manohar Lal Khattar, he says if women want freedom, why don't they roam around naked? RSS chief Mr. Mohan Bhagwat in the past has said that rapes rarely happen in Bharat and they occur frequently in India. Former BJP CM and Madhya Pradesh Home Minister Babulal Gaur says rape is sometimes right and sometimes wrong. BJP Goa CM Lakshmikant Parsekar tells nurses not to stand in the sun because they will lose their matrimonial prospects if they get dark. and these can be multiplied. Let me give you one more example. Religious dogma and hatred, they have become most pronounced with a continuing hate agenda against minorities run by the ruling dispensation. And how? Union Minister Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti famously said in Delhi elections that this is a fight between Ramzadas and Haramzadas. I don't know whether it can be dismissed. Very recently, and Suhel referred to it, Union Minister Ram Shankar Kateria, he calls all Muslims demons, calls them the descendants of Ravana, and says they all should be beheaded. Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh, sir, justifies his comments and says they are fine. BJP MP Sakshi Maharaj, he says education of terrorism is being given in madrasas. Union Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi says if you want to go eat beef, go to Pakistan. Mahesh Sharma says, another union minister, despite being a Muslim, APJ Abdul Kalam was a nationalist. And these examples can be multiplied. Let me give you one more example. Suppression of voice of Dalits and students appear to have become the norm. General VK Singh describes a Dalit child and compares him to a dog. Ambedkar Periyar Study Circle in IIT Madras is banned because they criticize Modi government. BJP National General Secretary P. Muralidhar Rao describes Rohit Vemula as an anti-national. Rohit Vemula is driven to suicide on account of letter written by another union minister, Bandaru Dattatray, and the education minister, Mrs. Irani. JNU Delhi is called a den of anti-national. Some people call them all the girls there as prostitutes. Some others count the contraceptives thrown there. And of course, JNU President Kanhaiya Kumar is charged with sedition. It's a different issue that the video emanates from an aide of the education minister. Let me give you one more example before I conclude. Suppression of free speech, targeting of writers, thinkers, journalists, that has become the new norm. Hundreds of writers, artists, and thinkers returned their award. And the finance minister says this is manufactured dissent. Former Union Minister Arun Shuri is trolled for criticizing Modi, and his son, who's suffering from cerebral palsy, even attacked. Gopal Subramaniam is not appointed as a Supreme Court judge because he appeared against Mr. Amit Shah. M.M. Kulbargi, Pansare, and Dalbolkar appear to have been killed with the same weapon. Political opponents are persecuted every day. Journalists are persecuted every day. The senior-most chief minister of the country, Mr. Veerbhadra Singh, his official residence is raided on a day when his daughter is getting married. Can they succeed? Obviously, they can't. India's DNA, as Suhel said, actually India's DNA is about compassion, it's about cohabitation, and it's about coexistence. We are a nation that enabled birth of different religions, adopted many religions, and still thrived. We are a people who calibrated Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Shaktism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sufism, Ahmadiyas, Sikhism, and whatnot. We co-opted Bhakti, we co-opted Nirgun, we co-opted Valmiki, Kabir, Meera, Tulsi, Aulia. So all that I want to say, I'm confident that no government or organization can take away our DNA of compassion, coexistence, and cohabitation. And I'll just quote one line with Chair's permission.
You need to stop.
Let me end by quoting Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. Thank you.
Anupam Kher will now rise to propose the motion.
Namaskar.
Freedom, my father, let my country awake. Thank you.
Anupam Kher will now rise to propose the motion.
Namaskar. मैं माफ़ी चाहता हूँ, मैं हिंदी में बोलना चाहूँगा, मैं हिंदी में सोचता हूँ और अगर बीच में मेरे अंग्रेज़ी निकल जाए तो आपकी किस्मत अच्छी है। मैं बहुत कुछ सोच के आया था, मैं ये बोलूँगा, आई विल नॉट मेक इट पर्सनल, आई विल नॉट मेक इट एंटी बीजेपी, आई विल नॉट मेक ए लिस्ट ऑफ पीपल व्हाट ऑल हैज़ गॉन रॉन्ग बाय द अदर, बट आई एम शॉक्ड एंड ashamed and saddened by what you said, Mr. Ganguly. Being a judge, it's so sad that you are calling the verdict of Supreme Court was wrong. It's so sad that you have to say that. It's a matter of complete disgrace that you were hounded by the press and you were intolerant of them when there was a case against you. And today, you talk about that what happened in JNU was right? Very sorry, sir. Let me ask you one question. We are totally forgetting and we are making a hero out of one guy who was participant in the night of 9th February. And what were the naras that were going on over there? गुस्से में अंग्रेजी निकल आई, सॉरी. क्या नारे हो रहे थे वहां पर? भारत की बर्बादी. वहां क्या नारे हो रहे थे? अफजल गुरु हम शर्मिंदा हैं, तेरे कातिल जिंदा हैं. कौन थे उसके कातिल? सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजेस उसके कातिल थे क्या? कि भारत तेरे टुकड़े होंगे इंशाअल्लाह इंशाअल्लाह, ये बात थी. Instead of condemning it, you are saying that Supreme Court was wrong and that the Afzal Guru's judgment was wrong. It's absolutely unpardonable, Your Honor. No, you can't speak in between, sir. Let me finish. I'm sorry, it's my time. You are talking about, Surjewala ji, you talked about full list of, you have prepared a list of what BJP spoke about. You forgot that 84 emergency was declared by Indira Gandhi, your leader, sir. That was the biggest intolerance in the country ever. All those people were jailed who spoke about against the people who were innocent, people who were journalists, people who were talking about anything. There were whisper campaigns. They were all put behind bars, including my grandfather. You are talking about one by one. You totally forgot. Unfortunately, you know what I think, who is the most tolerant people in this country is Congress. They're tolerating a person who they want to project as a prime minister of this country and can't even say to each other that we are wrong. We are so sorry. This is our prime ministerial candidate. Means they must be talking to each other. क्या करें? फंस गए, कहाँ फंस गए हम लोग भाई? That is the tolerance that you have shown. But show that tolerance once in parliament and let the parliament function, sir. If you can tolerate that person, then you can tolerate anything in the world. You know, this is ridiculous. We have, when I was, आप में से किसी ने भी tolerance word को पिछले 8 महीनों से पहले सुना था या intolerance को? नहीं सुना था. ये मार्केट किया गया है क्योंकि ये हार जो शिकस्त हुई है इतनी बुरी तरह से ऑपोजिशन वालों की, उस शिकस्त का बदला लिया जा रहा है. कैसे लें बदला? प्राइम मिनिस्टर पूरी मेजॉरिटी से जीता है, 282 सीटें आई हैं. एक चाय वाला प्राइम मिनिस्टर बन गया. कैसे बन गया? हम तो गुलाम हैं. हम तो गुलामी की आदत है, हमें अंग्रेजों से, मुगलों से और अब बाहर के कुछ लोगों से हमें गुलामी की आदत है. ये कैसे बन गया प्राइम मिनिस्टर भाई? प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने पिछले 2 साल से या पौने 2 से आज तक छुट्टी नहीं ली है. I'm not advocating him. I'm just speaking on a behalf of as a citizen of this country. People say that you are talking about Mr. Pramodi because your wife is a BJP. I'm married to Kiran for the last 30 years. I don't have to prove my loyalty to her by talking on behalf of BJP. आपसे बर्दाश्त नहीं होता है कि हमारा प्राइम मिनिस्टर विदेश में जाकर, आपने बर्दाश्त किया 10 साल एक ऐसे प्राइम मिनिस्टर को जो चुप रहा. 10 साल आपने एक ऐसे प्राइम मिनिस्टर को बर्दाश्त किया सरकार. और हमारा प्राइम मिनिस्टर जो है आज बाहर के मुल्कों में जाकर, जब मैं बाहर कहता हूं क्या बात है, आपका प्राइम मिनिस्टर बहुत डायनामिक है. नॉट बिकॉज ही स्पीक्स वेल, बिकॉज ही टॉक्स अबाउट द आइडिया ऑफ इंडिया. ही हैज नॉट टेकन ए सिंगल हॉलीडे And his Diwali is always spent in Kashmir. He's the only prime minister who has visited Kashmir thrice on a Diwali day. ये आपसे बर्दाश्त नहीं होता है. So let's coin a word. Let's try and sort of get our think tank together. What should we do? We can't, because भ्रष्टाचार की बात ही नहीं हो रही है. पिछले 2 साल से भ्रष्टाचार की कोई बात हुई है क्या? और पिछले 10 साल से सिर्फ भ्रष्टाचार की बात हुई. 2G, 3G, ये जी, वो जी, ओ जी, यही बातें होती नहीं. अब भ्रष्टाचार की बात नहीं हो रही है. तो क्या करें? कैसे कोई ऐसा वर्ड निकालें और पूरी दुनिया में फैला दें? We got the word. Let's say that he is intolerant. फैलाओ इसको, फैलाओ इसको, फैलाओ इसको. Tolerant, intolerant. So much so that Dada has to talk about intolerance in this Calcutta Club. This is a no debate, sir. People are tolerant. You know who are talking about intolerance? The intellectuals, the rich, the famous who travel with 20 bodyguards and talk about intolerance. If you ask about a man on the street, भैया intolerance और क्या intolerance, उससे भी डिफिकल्ट वर्ड है असहिष्णुता. भैया हमारे को 2 वक्त की रोटी मिल जाए वही बड़ी बात है. मुझे नहीं बात करनी है intolerance. मैं तो काम करता हूं अपना. तो जो 5 स्टार होटल्स में जो वो कल्चर है, जो डायमंड के स्टड्स पहनते हैं, मैं उनको आई डोंट होल्ड दैट अगेंस्ट देम. वो लोग बैठ के शैंपेन का गिलास सिप करते हुए बात करते हैं, इंडिया हैज बिकम सच एन इंटॉलरेंट कंट्री. अरे आप हिंदुस्तान में बात कर रहे हो, कलकत्ता में बात कर रहे हो या अमेरिका में बात कर रहे हो? We have a presidential candidate in America who says that Muslims should be thrown out of this country. That is frightening. That is intolerance. If you heard the speech of the Prime Minister recently, he said, पार्टीज आती रहेंगी, पार्टीज जाती रहेंगी, लेकिन देश जो है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. देश की बात करते हैं हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर, और आपने उसको बाहर का आदमी बना रखा है. सर वो आपके भी प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं और चुनकर आए हैं. आपसे भीख मांग के नहीं बोलेंगे मुझे प्राइम मिनिस्टर बना दो. उन लोगों ने जो कैंपेन किया था, जिन लोगों ने कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर को, नरेंद्र मोदी साहब को वीजा अमेरिका का नहीं मिलना चाहिए, उन सबको असहिष्णुता नजर आ रही है. बिकॉज वो तो बन गए प्राइम मिनिस्टर, और उनको वीजा क्या, उनको अमेरिका ने हाथों हाथ लिया, रेड कार्पेट बिछाया, वो गले लगाते हैं ओबामा साहब को. उस पर भी तकलीफ, मुझ पर भी तकलीफ. तो जो भी उसके फेवर में बोले, लेट अस कॉल हिम, लेट अस मेक हिम इनक्रेडिबल, लेट अस मेक हिम दैट, उसकी क्रेडिबिलिटी को खत्म कर दो. अनुपम खेर मार्च निकालते हैं स्वतंत्रता के लिए, हिंदुस्तान के बारे में मार्च निकालते, बोल दो ये तो चमचा है. अनुपम खेर को पद्म भूषण मिलता है, बोलता है इसलिए मिलता है क्योंकि चमचा है. बड़े बड़े लेख लिखे जा रहे हैं. आई नेवर थॉट आई वाज सो इंपॉर्टेंट अ पर्सन. एडिटोरियल लिखे जा रहे हैं. सर, टू यू सर, आप बोलते हैं एंटी नेशनल, और 46 साल के आदमी को आप यूथ आइकॉन बोलते हैं? नहीं सर. जिस दिन राहुल गांधी साहब, मैं चाह रहा था नाम न लूं लेकिन नाम लेना जरूरी है, जिस दिन राहुल गांधी साहब नरेंद्र मोदी के 1/10 भी होंगे, मेरा वोट उनको जाएगा. 5 साल तो दीजिए, काम तो करने दीजिए देश के लिए. 5 साल के बाद निकाल दीजिए बाहर. 5 साल के बाद कहिए हमको ऐसी इंटॉलरेंट सरकार नहीं चाहिए, नहीं चाहिए हमें ऐसी सरकार, निकल जाएंगे. 5 साल काम तो करने दीजिए. आप ये क्या बीड़ा उठा रखा है अपने सिर पर? हम तो मैं प्रूव करके रखेंगे, यहां के नेता ने ऐसा. अरे सर, आपके एमपी ने बोला था किसी दूसरे एमपी को देखकर, श्री दिग्विजय सिंह ने, कि क्या टंच माल है. इससे ज्यादा घटिया बात क्या हो सकती है? मैं वो प्रिपेयर करके नहीं आया हूं लिस्ट कि आपके लोगों ने क्या क्या बोला है. आई एम नॉट डिफेंडिंग दम. जिन्होंने बोला उनको ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय, उनको अंदर कर देना चाहिए जिन्होंने इस तरह की बदतमीजी की है. हैं कुछ ऐसे लोग पार्टी में जो बकवास करते हैं, चाहे वो साध्वी हैं, चाहे वो और कोई ना योगी हैं, उनको अंदर कर देना चाहिए, उनको डांटना चाहिए और उनको निकाल देना चाहिए. मगर आप पूरे देश के साथ खिलवाड़ कर रहे हैं ये बोल के कि हमारे देश में बहुत इंटॉलरेंस है. इंटॉलरेंस है क्या? इंटॉलरेंस ये देखिए, टॉलरेंस ये लोगों को, ये है टॉलरेंस कि आप सबकी बात सुन रहे हैं और किसी ने हूट नहीं किया. जस्टिस गांगुली आपको, दिस इज कॉल्ड टॉलरेंस. आई हैव सीन यू ऑन टेलीविजन सर, when the camera was going onto your face, how you were getting intolerant about camera. Don't do that. So my friends, this is a great country. Let's tolerate the intolerance of these people. Thank you very much.
Closing for the opposition is Barkha Dutt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, first of all, have to ask for your tolerance because I am the last speaker.
Closing for the opposition is Barkha Dutt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, first of all, have to ask for your tolerance because I am the last speaker. And I think that you would agree that I have the toughest job because you've seen, you've heard, Anupam is a very hard act to follow. And I'm sure you're all sort of itching to draw your own conclusions. But because, as everybody has pointed out this evening, we are a tolerant nation, I'm going to ask all of you to step back from the politics, the theatrics, the histrionics, and actually ask yourself, how did this become about Modi and the Congress? I didn't come here to speak against Modi or in favor of the Congress. I'm sure Anupam didn't come here to speak for Modi and against the Congress. I stand here today as an Indian citizen. Nowhere in the framing of the subject, tolerance is the new intolerance, did I see a reference to Modi? Did I see a reference to the BJP? Did I see a reference to a timeline? Did I see a reference, Suhel, to the idea of India being endangered? These are all cliches. Let's talk instead of the environment that we operate in today. And who has created that environment? Is it politicians or is it all of us? Have we as Indians forgotten the art of conversation? As a television host who presents the 9 p.m. news and goes up in competition against somebody who believes that splitting the screen into 8 boxes and then shouting the loudest is what qualifies as journalism, and the absence of nuance is what qualifies as entertainment, I worry in fact, most of all, for the intolerance of my own fraternity, the media. I worry at how somehow we have converted news into theater and our narratives have become reductionist, and I'm afraid in this city which prides itself on its intelligence, I know that all of you will agree with me that certain narratives are dumbing us down. We are more intelligent than this nationalism versus anti-nationalism narrative. We are proud Indians and we do not need anybody to certify that for us. Please tell me if you agree. Do you agree? Do you agree? Let's hear that louder. Thank you. Now let me tell you that since we have agreed that we do not need certificates, about a young man I met last night. He's about this short. He comes till my waist. He has a smile that travels up to his eyes, which I usually believe is the sign of a person who's authentic. I asked him, there's a word these days that's become very controversial. That word is called azadi. I said, can you, to this young man, he's 28 years old, I said, can you define to me azadi in one sentence? And you know what he said? Azadi for me is the freedom to implement the Indian Constitution. First, let me ask you, do you all agree with this definition? Do you agree that Azadi is the Constitution and the freedom that it guarantees? Okay, so who said this? A boy charged with sedition called Kanhaiya Kumar. This was his definition of Azadi. Not Azadi from India, but Azadi in India. Now, Anupam said, we are making a hero out of such people. I beg to differ. I didn't agree with a lot of what Kanhaiya said in his speech, which all of you must have seen, even though I found it mesmerizing. I didn't agree, and I don't know if it's sacrilege to say this in Bengal, but I guess not because Mamta's in power, because I'm not a Marxist. I'm actually a capitalist. And to that extent, my left liberal friends actually don't like me, because there are many things about me that go militate against the left. I like the army. I cut my teeth as a reporter covering the Kargil war. I've done more than 100 shows on the Indian soldier, and I'm a free marketeer. But along with being a free marketeer, I'm also a free thinker. And the reason somebody like me believes that the government messed up badly on its handling of JNU is A, because the boy they arrested, I think they've got the wrong boy. There isn't a single documentary evidence to show that he raised any slogans about Bharat ki Barbadi or Afzal Guru, except one doctored video played out by 3 television channels who should be ashamed of themselves for reducing the ethics of journalism in doing this. Secondly, let's assume that some slogans were raised that were disturbing. And they were. Do I agree with those slogans? Absolutely not. Do I find them disturbing? Absolutely. But what about hypocrisy? Let me tell you what I mean by hypocrisy. Jai Lalita, known to enjoy a good rapport with the current government, 2 days ago passed an order that Rajiv Gandhi's killers should be released, convicted terrorists. No one called her anti-national. Prakash Singh Badal, an ally of the BJP, has written letter after letter to hardened convicted terrorists, Rajuana, Bhullar, should be released. Nobody called them anti-national. Mufti Muhammad Saeed, the chief minister of a BJP-PDP government, when Afzal Guru was being executed, wrote a letter saying that the execution had been done in unholy haste. ये मैं नहीं बोल रही, ये मुफ्ती साहब ने बोला. उन्होंने आगे बोला कि ये जो execution है, ये कश्मीर की history में एक negative, कश्मीर की painful history में एक negative reference point बनकर रहेगा. लेकिन बीजेपी ने तो मुफ्ती साहब के साथ सरकार बनाई. तो आप मुझे बताएं कोलकाता के लोग कि अगर मुफ्ती साहब एंटी नेशनल नहीं है, प्रकाश सिंह बादल एंटी नेशनल नहीं है और जयललिता एंटी नेशनल नहीं है, अगर बीजेपी और पीडीपी की अलायंस में एक कमिटमेंट है कि हुर्रियत, आप हुर्रियत को जानते हैं, दे कश्मीरी सेपरेटिस्ट, हार्डन सेपरेटिस्ट, उनकी अग्रीमेंट में एक कमिटमेंट है कि हुर्रियत के साथ डायलॉग होगा. So you will talk to hardened separatists as a commitment to the PDP. You will allow Jayalalitha to order a release of Rajiv's killers. Rajnath Singh will say he will consider Prakash Singh Badal's petition to release convicted terrorists. But you will lock away 4 students for 4 slogans. Hypocrisy, hypocrisy, hypocrisy. I'm sorry, but this is sheer hypocrisy. Now the bell tells me that I have 3 minutes left. And with apologies to my friend Randeep, I want to say something here. What I want to say is that first we saw this word called secularism being corroded by competitive politics. I call 1984 and 2002 the bookends of our debate around secularism, within which both of these parties have played competitive politics and corroded the notion of secularism. Now, I'm afraid the same thing is being done with nationalism. There were pseudo-secularists, now there are pseudo-patriots. And in this way, we see these slogans that we took for granted actually getting politicized and corroded. I stand here as a citizen, certainly not as a supporter of the Congress or a supporter of the BJP or for that matter any other party. I think the emergency was shameful. I think the censorship of the satanic verses was shameful. I think the way Babri Masjid was coordinated between the BJP and the Congress, with Rajiv Gandhi allowing the unlocking of the masjid and the BJP bringing it down, both in our history have to take the blame for that. And are we going to step back, we the people who are tolerant, who want to live and let live, who want to let people wear what they want, and yes, eat beef if they want. In Bengal, you can say this, but today you can't say this in Delhi. You can't say this in Uttar Pradesh. How shocking is it that in Uttar Pradesh, the meat in Dadri, in Akhlaq's fridge, was sent for testing to see whether it is beef or mutton. What sort of country have we become where the meat is more important than the manslaughter? And this has nothing to do with any political party. This has to do with the politicization of all values that are dear to me as an Indian. Secularism was dear to me, my politicians took it away from me. So today I say pluralism. Nationalism was dear to me, but today the people who are expecting that we will conform to their notions of nationalism have taken away that word from me, and I will have to look for another word. And I turned to Kanhaiya, who gave me the definition, and he said, nationalism is borrowed from Europe. It's a borrowed idea based on a single entity. India is many nations within a nation. Let's use the word patriotism instead of nationalism. Let us stop this false binary that if we raise questions about how JNU was handled, we are against the Indian soldier. I am committed to the military and I reject this false binary, but I am also committed to being a free thinker, to individual liberty, and my lament today is that there is no truly liberal party in India. I wait for the day when a party would have the guts to stand up for the right of people to eat whatever they want to, dress how they want to, sleep with who they want to, love who they want to. As for questioning Supreme Court judgments, I certainly question the Supreme Court judgment on 377. So we can question Supreme Court judgments. And I will end now by quoting one of the most well-known contemporary philosophers of our time, Karl Popper, who spoke about how too much tolerance is a bad thing. And I will just read this out and then end. The paradox of tolerance. Unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappearance of tolerance. If we extend unlimited tolerance even to those who are intolerant, if we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed and tolerance with them. We should therefore claim in the name of tolerance the right not to tolerate the intolerant. We should claim that any movement preaching intolerance places itself outside the law, and we should consider incitement to intolerance as criminal in the way that we consider murder and kidnapping. With that, I rest my motion.
I think we can all agree that we've had a wonderful debate. It's been a debate that's been political, as these debates must be. It's a debate which has had its moments of humor. It's a debate that's been enormously passionate on both sides. It's a debate that's seen judicial reasoning and real passion. I think it can be safely said that there are, on either side of me, 6 people who are passionately committed to a civilized society. Where they disagree on is that in the context of the present political moment, are the charges of incivility or intolerance being justly made? And I think we saw from the right side of the House an argument from both Suhel and from Anupam, an argument which said that you cannot brand isolated incidents into a generalization about the nature of India. And I think we saw from Kajol an argument towards the end of this, of her talk, where she said, let's not club together incidents of social intolerance with political motivation. I think from my left, we saw a series of varied arguments. We had Justice Ganguly, who began with this very moving example of the national anthem and the Jehovah's Witnesses in Kerala, who argued that individual dignity, in a sense, and individual moral autonomy had to be maintained through freedom. We had Randeep Surjewala, who made a robustly political argument indicting the BJP, citing a sequence of instances where he felt that they had, in fact, behaved in an intolerant way. We had Barkha Dutt ending this debate for us by arguing that we shouldn't be trapped in the binaries of political parties, that both dominant political parties in our country have contributed to intolerances of various kinds, that we should instead reach for values that are not partisan. And she saw an exemplar of not non-partisanship, but a willingness to look at the great categories of our time, liberalism, leftism, nationalism, in the example of Kanhaiya Kumar. Now the time has come to put this motion to you, the House. The proposition was tolerance is the new intolerance. So the way I'm going to do it is this. All those who agree with this side of the House, raise your hands. All those who agree with this side of the House, please raise your hands. I'm not very good at this visual thing. Can we do this again? Hold on a minute. Put your hands down. Put your hands down. So, do not be incited by Suhel Seth. All those who are for the motion, please raise your hands. Only one hand. All those who are against the motion, raise your hands. Okay, the third time is the charm. All those for the motion, raise your hands. All those against the motion, raise your hands. It's not clear to me, Suhel. All right. We are going to declare this debate a dead heat. Thank you for your participation.
Be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like everyone to kindly be seated as we're going to be honoring our guest on stage. And of course, like our sponsors say, it was amazing. Debating is a way of life. And each one of our speakers truly stay true to what they believe in and they speak out. And this evening has been a totally unputdownable evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to all of y'all. First of all, I'd like y'all to give a big hand to yourself because y'all have been an amazing crowd and an amazing lot of speakers. And now, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Calcutta Club, I'd like to call upon the First Lady of the club, Mrs. Nobonita Bose, to kindly give a token of appreciation on behalf of Calcutta Club to all our esteemed speakers and guests on stage. Ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, a token of appreciation to the lady who hit out hard, the one and only Barkha Dutt. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen. And on behalf of Calcutta Club, we have the honors, Mrs. Nobonita Bose, the First Lady, doing the honors. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Randeep Surjewala, amazing speaker in his own right. He's always smiling and always charming. And ladies and gentlemen, now Justice Ganguly. A big hand to him. Truly expressed from his heart what he felt. Yes, the one and only Suhel Seth. Oh, ladies first, as Suhel always goes. Kajol, the one and only Dilwale lady, I always say, been truly amazing and a very charming smile, spoke her heart out. Suhel, you haven't changed. I love you the way you are. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, while the honors are being done to Mr. Anupam Kher, I'd like to call on behalf of Telegraph, I'd like to call on stage Ad Sales Director of ABP Private Limited, Mr. Chandan Mazumdar, along with Mr. N.R. Datta, Chairman and Managing Director of the Camellia Group, who's always been so ever supportive, to kindly present a token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers on stage on behalf of the Telegraph. Mr. N.R. Datta, Chairman and Managing Director of Camellia Group. Thank you, sir, for always being so supportive and backing the debate year in and year out. Mr. Mazumdar doing the honors, and Mr. Datta. To Suhel, Kajol and Anupam Kher. Ladies and gentlemen, it's truly been an unputdownable evening. Truly amazing. And thank you so much for making this beautiful evening happen with all the cheers, all the love, all the warmth. I know it's hot, but truly been really warm, and the crowd been truly warm from the heart. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a wonderful evening. Have a superb weekend. And thank you to all our distinguished speakers. I think they want a small photo session, all of you all together, please, if possible. Ladies and gentlemen, the Calcutta Club, the Telegraph National Debate, presented by the Camellia Group in association with Maruti Suzuki Way of Life and Valentine Stay True Music CDs. Reality partner, Multicon Group. Hospitality partner, Taj Bengal, Kolkata. Television news partner, ABP Anando. Radio partner, 91.9 Friends FM. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's truly been an unputdownable evening tonight. And what a beautiful debate it has been. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Good night, take care, and have a brilliant weekend. Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In a very short while, we will be starting this amazing debate which you all are going to be witnessing tonight. A small request to everybody. I know the jingle of the phone is very influential and very persistent. So request everybody to kindly put your mobiles either in the switched off mode or in the silent mode. Thank you. We'll be with you in a short while. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, once again. And a warm welcome to all of you all this beautiful evening. Yes.